talk about what we're doing today and get right into it, shall we? We're going to start with the prep piece again as normal, so not the bulk of the work, which will be squatting today. However, we're going to have more, I said not more of, I'm going to increase the emphasis on core work at the beginning. And then, so hopefully what that'll do is when we move into other movements, everything kind of in your torso, generally speaking, is ready to go, whether it's load bearing, positional, complexity, whatever. So we are starting with 3 times total through of 8 per side or 16 total, depending how you count. Dumbbell plank drags, which we've done forever, so I'll discuss those, but those should look and feel familiar. These can be substituted as shoulder taps if we need to do so, or if we needed to graduate downwards even more, we can even do plank holds just to hold the plank, forearm, or top of your push-up. Followed by 8 per side bird dogs with an elbow to knee crunch. So we're just adding a little bit of flexion or bending of the spine, like a little crunch at the end of each rep. Nothing crazy. You might already do this without my cueing. And then 8 plank body saws. Not as aggressive as that sounds. We're just kind of oscillating back and forth in a plank shape just a little bit. So we're adding difficulty to this plank position. After that, we're going to do that 3 times through. After that, you're doing 4 times of 5 reps of, so 1 rep is 1 squat, 2-footed. I know we're doing a lot of single leg stuff, and a lunge on your right and left leg. So squat, lunge, that's 1 rep. Okay, you repeat that 5 times per set, followed by, resting as needed, of course, 5 to 8 challenging push-ups. Whatever that is for you. We'll go through the options, of course, but we can make them harder or easier, relatively speaking, based on your skill level. We're doing that a total of 4 times. I'm going to go through all this again, by the way, so don't worry. And then finally, we have some hollow body position holds at the end there, 20 and 30 seconds worth, 12 alternating glute bridge pullovers or dead bugs. And then 10 Superman W pulls, which we've done variations with these 2 movements. We're just going to put them together. So now that you're overwhelmed, let's warm up. Let's start with some cat-cows. I know we're going to do some bird dogs in a second anyway. And just see how you feel. According to my friend's Garmin, we walked a half marathon this weekend. So that was fun. You're done with these cat-cows. Good. 10 or so. And after 10, let's move into our bird dogs. So don't worry about the crunch yet. We're just going to extend the leg, opposite arm, and then back. I always lose count. I get about 10, but if I'm counting my reps and they're off, they probably are. I'm good at about 8 to 10 reps. It's usually a safe bet. Let's go ahead and do our 90-90s next. Just checking with the hips. So the hips drop to the side. You can lean forward if you're liking that, that's fine. You can add to this. For some of you, you might be able to get your bottom kind of sit bone to the ground. So if my left leg is down here, respectively, my right hip is off the ground or glute. For some people, they can get both on the ground. I'm not that person, so that's okay. If you are and it's comfortable, that's okay with me, but I'm not demonstrating it that way because that hurts me in a way that's not helpful. So after 10 total, that's 5 per direction of these. I saw a tail walk by there. As usual. Was that max or min?
That was max.
Yeah, so it looked great. Look like a also much less quick, which is kind of a saunter.
Correct. Deliberate.
We call that drive-by in our house, which is like a little tail touches your leg, continues on. Okay, so let's continue with this. I want to get a little upper back rotation, the threading the needle, and then we'll do some glute bridges and go right into all this stuff. So back to our tabletop position. Nice, open towards, well, actually any direction you like. And then we're going to reach through that gap between your knee and your wrist as much as you're comfortable. Taking your time here. Let's do at least 3 per direction, but if you want to add a few more because it feels nice, I would love to see it. Sides. Alrighty, and then finally our glute bridges. This is more just a gentle assessment of how the hips are feeling, or hips and glutes. So it's okay if you're not feeling particularly snappy about this. I just want to see if they're working. That's all. 10 glute bridges. Make sure you have a gentle brace, a little flex to the belly. Your butt is already squeezed before you start lifting. Try to keep this rib cage to hip position pretty rigid. Okay. If you're actually, I'm not sure about yoga, but I know Pilates tends to roll through that in the low back. We're going to avoid that variation today. So I want the rib cage, hips, distance to remain the same, but squeezed. So that distance should not change, right, as I come up. Just for now. This is just a matter of, I don't know, it's a slight matter of difference in principle. 10 reps. If you need to grab your butt, that's fine. If that helps, go for it. Sometimes that can be helpful to get a muscle to work for you. And bonus points if you're in a public gym, just saying. Okay, let's go ahead and continue the warm-up with the core work that we have going on. We have our plank drags. Again, this, or as the original variation, does not need to be a dumbbell, although I have written it as one. This is just an object you can grab single-handed. So, water bottle, can of beans, whatever. Just something you can pick up with one hand. Ideally, if possible, this is done from a kind of a plank position, as in top of your push-up. If that's not an option, I actually have an alternative for anyone with wrist discomfort. But if that's an option for you, I want the dumbbell or object behind your wrists. For me, it's probably my left one. I'm gonna find my plank position. I'm gonna reach across with my right hand. To 1, 2, right? I'm trying to keep my hip shifting to a minimum, right? I'm not trying to shift. My best not to. And I'm also trying not to open the hip that I'm picking up, the hand I'm picking up. So there's a lot of motor control involved with this. If we need to change this, we can actually, if you have something you put your forearms on, like a low box or an ottoman, I've had athletes put it that way and they can kind of still reach across in a forearm plank shape, but it's just mildly elevated. And then of course we need to make shoulder taps, we can make it shoulder taps. Let's start with that first though. So shoulder taps or 16 plank pull throughs. What you're pulling, not super critical. Nice job. Nice. Try and keep those hips down a little lower if you can. There we go. Nice job. After your 16 total, or 8 per side, we have the bird dog knee to elbow. So it's 8 per side. We're actually going to stay on one leg and arm variation before you switch to the side. So if you're doing right hand, left foot, you're going to stay on that for 8 before you switch to the side. So we're not alternating sides, unlike the warm up. So if I'm gonna do the opposite actually. My left hand, right foot. I'm gonna extend both, just like the warm up. The crunch part is either, so dead on, is either gonna be my knee, my left elbow to my left knee, and my right knee to my left elbow. To one side that look like this, or here, so that's kind of dead on. Or if you like to go across, some people like to do a little this guy, a little diagonal. That's fine. I don't mind. But 8 per foot and leg combination. Yeah, it's like a little crunch. Yeah, there you go. It's not super extreme, but we're adding range of motion. And should either of you need it, you may put your feet and arms down to rest between reps or sets. Good. Excellent. And your final piece here, I'll make 8 to 10 reps depending on time under tension and difficulty and relative effort here, but it's a body saw. And apologies for my very baggy clothes, is when you're in a plank position. So you're in a forearm plank typically. And all I'm going to do is take my weight from kind of middle to over my elbows to over my heels. So just a little back and forth. And back and forth, so it's going to be back, forth, 1, back, forth, 2, back, forth, 3, so on and so forth. 8 to 10 times. There's kind of little motions forward and back, forward and aft. After your 8 to 10 reps there, that was one round. We're doing 2 more of these, starting back with your dumbbell plank plant or your dumbbell plank pull throughs. Kettlebell also works here. The analogy I use with people is imagine there's a glass of water on your mid to low back, and you don't want that water to spill. It's okay if it does, but it'd be a little bit uncomfortable. So 16 total or 8 per side on those pull-throughs, plank jacks, and then you have your 8 per side, that's not alternating. On that bird dog, adding a little bit of a crunch at the end of each rep. Nice job. So finding some tension in the belly as you extend or re-extend the leg and the arm. Nice work. Range of motion can vary per leg and as fatigue increases. Nice job with the body sauce, good work. Nice. Staying between movements or between sets is welcome, if that feels necessary. Take your time. The cross body variation area is not a requirement, right? That's more an option. So if you feel a little wobbly, or if anyone feels a little wobbly, I personally find the sort of more linear. So the knee going to the elbow this way and vice versa, a little less disorienting or less challenging. Right. Nice. Good. Final set of body sauce. Lovely. Let's take a well-deserved break. Talk about the second portion today. And that is our kind of a little squat complex, as in one rep is multiple movements. So it can be confusing. One rep today will be a one squat, two-footed, directly into a lunge with your right leg and a lunge with your left leg. This directional lunge is not, right? I didn't mention direction. So if you want to go forward, great. If you want to step backwards, great. Just make sure the direction is the same on both legs. I guess that's my only request. If you choose to carry a weight today or weights, you're more than welcome. I would probably, for logistics, probably carry the weight kind of either at your chest, like a goblet position, so singular, or if you have two weights, you can carry them kind of like right and left on your shoulders, like a front rack. If you're lucky enough to have a barbell, a back rack position here is great if you choose to do that, but I don't have a barbell, so I will not be doing that. So your one rep, let's see if we can have my whole body in here, if possible. I'll do my best. I have, and I can't see my head, I have my weight in my hands, in my chest. I'm going to squat down. All right, step back. I go backwards, I like to. But you can go forwards. And then that's one. I repeat that for a total of 5 reps. Okay. Once you've done that 5 times, 5 reps, you're going to do 5 to 8 challenging push-ups. So something that you can kind of play with this, but adding difficulty, I would suggest either, speaking on the devil, we have another guest. I have a flower. Do you want to show off your flower? Are you embarrassed? Okay, we won't show off your flower. So for the push-up, all joking aside, if you need to make it more challenging, all you need to do is shift your body weight slightly forward, a bit like the body saw, except we're going to maintain the weight over the shoulder as opposed to over the feet. I'm going to try and demonstrate without disturbing my princess. So instead of the wrist being over the shoulder, this position, I'm going to be just like a little bit forward of that. Now, this does increase load on the wrist, so that is something to consider, but it is a way to do it. So I'll do my best here. I actually am not sure this is going to go well, but we'll find out. So my plank position. So I'm going to go shift forward a little bit, and then down here, and then back up. So that can make that push-up more challenging without adding much equipment necessary. If you feel inclined and you have a pair of dumbbells, you can do a deficit push-up. Do your push-ups on a dumbbell and try and get your chest to the floor. I am not doing that one. But there's ways to add to this. When you back off, we'll shorten it, as in use your knees, whatever you'd like. Biscotti's here to cheer you on. So whenever you're ready, let's start with those squats. 5 reps of 1 squat and a lunge per leg. Again, a forward or backwards lunge. I'm not sure if Alex told you, Joseph, but the cat woke her up at like 4:30 every morning.
She did. We picked her up to go to Lord on Sunday.
Yes, because you're
I
used
didn't
to
feel bad for her because it happens to me every morning.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my work schedule has made her accustomed to a 4:30 breakfast. And because selfishly, I want her to need us and love us. And so an automatic feeder would remove our necessity. So we opt for human feeding, which means our poor guests have to be woken up at a god-awful hour. After your 5 reps, okay, of that squat and lunge complex, I want you to do 5 to 8 challenging push-ups. You can also narrow your grip, although, ooh, good on you if that's you. Um, Again, you can kind of, and each, because we're doing this 5 times, or sorry, 5 times, 4 total sets of this squat push-up combination. You can vary that challenging push-up however you'd like throughout those 5 sets. You can change it up, grip width. I don't know, if you have a weight vest, you can wear that. Nice job. If you need to take weight out of the equation for those lunges, that's okay as well, right? Or I say lunge and squat. Going the opposite direction in terms of difficulty in your push-up, you can elevate the hands, bend your knees. Right. Good. When you squat with that dumbbell, Joseph, you can stick it out in front of you, but I only want it to feel as good as it feels balanced. So if it's like out, like arms straight, that might be, unless it's meant to be harder, keeping the elbow bent and a little closer to the middle of your foot might feel less off balance or more on balance. Yeah, the hands farther away will make it a little more challenging, which is not a bad thing on the squat. Good. With your lunge steps, make sure you find your balance prior to committing to bending the knees and going down. Arisa, this is where you can use your judgment in terms of volume, okay? You're doing maybe 4 reps instead of 5, for example. Back knee can touch the ground on your lunges. They do not have to. Okay, so don't force the body to do so if it feels like a bad idea. Whether it's your front or back knee, let it tell you what it wants. There you go. Job. And it's okay to rest between your squats and your push-ups. That element is not necessarily needs to be a superset of any kind, right? You need to reset if you aren't already. If you are, my apologies. Go ahead and use your knees. If you're doing a full kind of plank into a lowering position, that was what we call plank negative, where you focus on one direction of the push-up. In this case, if you're going to do that variation, I want you to stay with 3 to 5 reps maximum. Okay. There you go. Because that slow lowering right now feels hopefully good and challenging. But if you do too many reps of that one, that is going to feel toasty tomorrow. Okay. So I want a total of, if you're doing a plank negative, no more than 15 reps to start. That's 1-5. So otherwise, I don't want you cursing me tomorrow because you did it to yourself. Say it. Okay. So I've done it to myself before. Nice work. That was 4 times through of that squat complex and your push-up variations. Like I mentioned, so if you need to manage your volume, total reps, you can reduce that if you know you're racing or you're still recovering from something. Are you lunging in both directions, Arisa?
Yes. Yes. I'm doing half to the back and half to the front.
Oh, great. Okay. As long as as long as that was intentional, that's totally fine. I was just like,
And
I
making
just didn't want you like doing like forward with your right leg only and back with your left leg only. That would start to get
uh,
really weird.
and making sure I don't go lopsided.
I mean, you won't go lopsided on one session, but if you continue that, you'll definitely feel a little lopsided. Uh, don't be afraid to use your knees here. So knees down, squeeze your butt.
-1.
And if you need to elevate your hands, I know you're kind of on your last set here, but if you need to elevate your hands or warm up out of that push-up, keeping your butt squeezed, so you're still pressing, right? But you're allowing majority of your body, usually from like, I would say knee down, to stay out of the equation. You're carrying less body weight.
Okay.
How was the concert, Joseph?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was fun watching Brett because Brett finished the race and then Craig drove
Yes.
him straight
How
to.
did I was wondering about how he would like post Ironman adrenaline into a show and then just sort of maybe not slowly fade. Did he survive the show?
He did, but like we can also tell that he was fading at the end.
Del-
They cut like really quickly, which understandably so. So it was fun watching him go walk up the stairs.
or hobble or walk sideways?
Walk is also a strong word. Huh? It was just,
More of a waddle.
yes, but he was happy to be there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, at least his photos looked like he was thrilled. Yeah, you can tell like you could tell like day of and after who did the Ironman just based on how they were or weren't moving. I think there's a lot of like a whole body, like the whole shoulder had to move the hip. Like hips didn't move. The shoulder was
There's
like,
no
okay, we're moving. I rode Nikki's bike back while I picked up his stuff. And people were congratulating me, and I was like, I just thanked them because I was like, I didn't want to tell them I didn't do
could
it.
have just soaked it all in. It's like, yes,
I'm
I
like,
feel so
yes, thank you.
fresh.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm wearing jean shorts. I got this. Nailed the Ironman in jean shorts. Too much chafing. No, thank you. Also, riding a TT bike, very strange for the record. Never done it. I'm like, this is a terrible idea. I was like, what if I crash Nikki's bike on the way to the hotel? Let's not do that. Um, okay. Oh, if you want to know, he finished. Of course he did. Just
Okay.
bearing the lead. Yay. 15 something hours. Oh.
All right.
I walked a half marathon though, so feel bad for me too. Fine. Um, I did wake up, I was like, oh, my feet, my calves. And Nikki's like, really? I was like, yeah, you heard me. I'm complaining about my body after watching you race. This is Meg told me to, so I did. I'm kidding. I was fine. We're gonna finish off with some hollow body position holds, so a little upper, like again, kind of a little more core work. But the nice thing is we're doing some facing up work. I know we're facing down a lot for our core work here. So the hollow body position hold can always be substituted for dead bugs for anyone with head and neck discomfort or kind of cervical spine discomfort. And that is where the full variation is where I'm laying down. I'm going to tuck. So where I had that even distance before on that glute bridge, I'm actually going to tuck. I'm like intentionally going to tuck the pelvis. Belly button is pushing into the floor. I'm going to tuck my chin, lift my head and my shoulders. All right, knees come to chest, and then my full variation is this. Right? So this is my full hollow position. I can't hold that for very long. So realistically, I'm going to bring things in. So maybe it's a knee in or a hand down, or maybe it's just this. But it's a big squeeze of the belly, right? The head and neck is just hanging out there. So that's your hollow body position hold, 20 to 30 seconds, depending on how you're feeling there. We have your, I'm not saying alternating, that was a typo, 12 glute bridge pullovers. This is a bit like a dead bug in some respects, but we're going to focus on maintaining that two-hand rule that I just discussed. So you're going to have your weight. You're going to put yourself in a glute bridge position. I'm having my weight over my elbows a little bit bent here. I'm going to maintain this glute bridge and then just go as far as I can. So either it's one of two things. It's obviously it's core engagement as well as a little bit of a lat engagement, just like kind of supporting through the shoulder. So it's here, here. You may not touch the ground. That's okay. That's 1, 2, right, to 12. If that needs to be just a laying down this way, no hip lift, it could be this. Okay. But when we're doing this variation, I don't want any change of the back position. So I don't want any rib cage moving. So it's more of a core based piece if you do the hips down. And then the Superman W pulls. We've done Supermans. We've done the W's, or together you can either, so typically, I'm gonna go diagonally here because I can't fit. So I'm laying down here. And I'm gonna be, my toes can be flexed. And I'm gonna kind of lift, squeeze my butt, lift my chest up, and squeeze my elbows down towards my hips, and then back. All right, so keeping the chest up, squeeze. So everything down here is stable. I'm not reaching to the back. If you want to, you can squeeze, hands behind, W, and back. I'm doing 10 of those. So nice upper back engagement piece. If you feel this in your low back, let me know. Probably not what we're going for. Going for kind of an upper back activation. Okay. Let's start with our hollow body position hold. I will cue you for this one. If you're on your own, you can, obviously, you're welcome to. Use your own timer. Okay. I will count to 20. I'll let you know when 20 seconds comes along, as well as 30 if you choose to go longer. And you can simplify or make yourself more compact as you get tired. We're starting at 5, 3, 2, 1, go. You do not need to go the full length of that hollow hold if your belly button ends up off floor or your hip flexors take over. That's a little too much. That's 20 seconds. Okay, you may stop here, but if you want to stick around for the next 5, 3, 2, 1, rest. Good. So this is where we are either doing 12 dumbbell pullovers, that's from a glute bridge position, right? Or you can drop the hips down and just move the dumbbell behind you and back, keeping your low back and belly braced as you do this. Go ahead and if you can, keep the glute bridge position. You can release that if you need to give the glutes a break, but you're basically holding a glute bridge the entire 12 reps, if possible. But of course, you need to rest, that's okay. I wrote dead bugs here in case anybody needs to just make this a good old-fashioned dead bug. That's where the alternating comes into play. 12 alternating as a substitute. Your Supermans, when you get there, the W pulls, these can be just Supermans where we kind of just lift up the chest. But when we're doing the W part, you're bringing the elbows down to, or thinking out drawing, pulling your elbows down to your lats, to your hips. Hopefully feel an upper back engagement there, if possible. And it's a little abstract. We're doing 10 of those. You're welcome to, and this is, I think, for some people more helpful, is if you kind of flex your feet, like you have your toes on the ground. Some people feel like they get more like leverage that way when they lift up the chest, but that's up to you. Good. For your hollow body hold, I think we're all about the same pace. That's good. You can also potentially count in your head. I'll give you count in if you guys are ready. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and go. Good. Nice job with those holds. And even within those 20, 30 seconds, you can become more compact to keep the integrity of that low back on the ground, hips tucked. Beautiful. That is 20 seconds. Good. Yeah. You can bring in one arm at a time if you need to. Arisa, that's fine. And rest. That's 30 seconds. Good work. Followed by actually resting if you like, but then you have your 12 glute bridge pullovers. Right. Again, very much like your pull throughs with the plank position. I want something you can carry with 2 hands safely without dropping on your head, whatever that may be. So if it's dumbbell, great. Kettlebell, lovely, but something that feels safe to carry. We're doing this 3 times total. So you're in round 2, right? Or at least if you're in person, you're round 2. And you will have 1 more time through. Nice job. Lovely. Okay. I can start you actually. Your timing is actually quite good, Risa. You're just like, whoop, right, ready to go. So final set of hollow holds starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Work. Breathing. You can always bring if your legs are extended, you can bring your hands by your sides first. That's usually my first move to simplify. That's your 20-second mark. Low back should be on the ground. We're tucking the pelvis. Should feel like you're kind of going into a jelly bean shape. And rest. Good. Nice job. Final set of that. No more of that. Nice job with those pullovers, right? In this case, the weight in your hand is meant to be feedback, whether it's for your lats, to get a little more lat stretch. If your hips are lifted, it's also just a core engagement piece as well. Yeah, with this variation of Superman, it's okay if your toes and legs stay down. So we're just focusing on lifting up the chest or from the waist up, as opposed to both. I know sometimes with Superman, the toes come up too, but in this case, toes and legs stay down. Again, hopefully this should not be too hard in the head and the neck. Good work. Excellent work, you guys. That it's officially over. I wish you an uneventful day, unless eventful's good. Okay. Eventful's not good for me, so I hope it's usually if it's eventful, something went wrong. And
No visit from Nikki this morning.
I think he's a little
Just, maybe just a little.
just a little tired. Yeah, no major decisions in 72 hours post race. And I joked, I was like, let's get married. And he looked at me like, huh? It's like, it's been 14 years. I think we just need to sign a piece of paper, but whatever. No, I was joking. But he's good. He's okay. He was able to drive back. Took a nap at my parents' house first because he needed to take a nap. And then he's gonna be fine, but he's needs a couple days to recover fully. And then we'll kind of see how it goes, but
All right.
he's okay.
All right.
But
Thank you.
I hope you take care. I hope you have a good day, Arisa.
Thank you. See you all next week. All right. Bye.